Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. It's great to see everyone coming into our webinar room. We'll get started in just a second, but while we do that, it'll be great if you can find the questions in the chat area and let us know your name, the name of your dealership, the name of your business, and perhaps even your role. It's always great to see who we have in the call. So if you can share that with us in the questions chat area, that would be great. Awesome. I'm seeing some come through. All right, good deal. While you continue to do that, again, just welcome. This is LOCALiQ's second webinar for the Motors division, the evolution of automotive attribution, how dealerships can fairly measure and track conversions. Welcome. And if this is your first time joining our webinars, allow me to introduce you to LOCALiQ. We are a multi-channel digital marketing agency, and that just means that we specialize in a variety of tactics from SEO, PPC, paid social, display advertising, website design, and so much more. But specifically, our Motors division is a smart marketing platform that specializes in automotive digital marketing services. And so we've got marketing experts who know your industry. We've got smart technology, which you'll hear about a lot today. And those things work together to help businesses like yours achieve results that they can measure and see in real time. I'm Brandon Griffin. I'm the head of B2B marketing for LOCALiQ, and we've got two seasoned experts in the automotive marketing space with us today, and we'll introduce them in just a moment. But first, let me share our agenda for today's session with you. Let's see if that will catch up. There we go. All right, so this is our agenda and the things that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about everything about attribution, from what it is to how it's evolved to the challenges that dealerships are experiencing around it. And we're going to talk about our approach to digital tracking here at LOCALiQ Motors, and finally talk about how this area will continue to progress and how your dealership can stay ahead on the track. So let's kick off with maybe a few brief introductions. I've already introduced myself, but Brad and Paul, welcome to our call today. And do you mind telling us a little bit about yourselves and what you do here at LOCALiQ?
Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, my name's Paul Cooper. I'm the commercial director here at LOCALiQ Motors. My main role is to support our digital BDMs on the road, dealing, putting strategy together for our clients. And also in charge of the services team who run our campaigns. So I need to make sure that there's synergy between the two teams to get the best results for our clients.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. And hi, I'm Bradley Dent. I'm the head of client success at LOCALiQ Motors, and I oversee our clients' projects and lead our team of account managers to help achieve better results from our clients' campaigns and to also support their business growth. So between Paul, myself, and the rest of the LOCALiQ Motors team, we can help you to maximize your automotive digital marketing performance. So whether you're part of a new or a used car dealership, a service center, or in car finance, we've got experience of driving success across all aspects of the marketing world.
Awesome. Again, great to have you both on today's session. And just one thing to note for our webinar attendees, today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll receive the PowerPoint slides that we're sharing, as well as the recording in your emails within 24 hours. And along the way, if you have questions, feel free to put your questions in that same chat questions area of this webinar platform that you just used to introduce yourself. And we'll answer many of those questions toward the end of our webinar today. We have some time for a Q&A section. All right, so let's just jump in, but first I think it's helpful to kind of set the stage for what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to ask our webinar attendees to just think about where you are right now in the journey of marketing your dealership, and think about those questions that make you cringe, like the one that's here on this meme, and maybe someone on this call has been asked that question, what has marketing contributed to the pipeline? Have you ever been asked that question? I see some people saying yes in the chat. They've gotten that question from their management team. And, having no idea of where your customers are coming from or which marketing channels work best is almost like driving blindfolded, and it gives you so many headaches. Your dealership will probably end up throwing money at channels that aren't effective and ignore the ones that actually work. I've seen marketing managers typically fall flat and miss the mark on people who are actually interested in buying cars, and also without insights into future trends and knowing about customer behavior, sometimes dealerships just react to whatever happens instead of driving the marketing strategy forward and being proactive. So that's what today is all about, how your dealership can use attribution to give you the confidence, that petrol you need and that your strategy needs in order to move forward. So with that, Brad, I think you're going to take us and kick us off with the first topic for us and break down what this whole attribution thing is about.
Yeah, thanks. And I think, that meme on there sums it up perfectly. As you pointed out, we know the world of attribution is a minefield. And, certainly even today, we appreciate we probably have a mix of people on the webinar with different levels of experience and involvement with attribution. So I just wanted to give a run through of the options available and how it allows you to understand what each marketing channel is bringing to the table, as well as where you can credit your marketing activity to particular outcomes or events. So in our particular world of automotive, that's of course being able to track inquiries and sales effectively. But whilst that seems simple enough, it does become a little bit more complicated when you start to consider the various attribution models that exist. So simply put, there are single source models which focus on one particular touch point. So first click, where you only take that very first touch point someone makes and ignore any actions afterwards. And then you've got last click, where only the last converting touch point is recorded. So that could be someone who sees a Facebook ad, clicks through and submits a form, all in one action. But it could also be someone that has clicked on all the ads in the world for different dealerships, but only submitted a test drive form, for example, for one of those, and that submission be the only one that's recorded. So these single attribution models are laser focused at looking at only a particular stage of the buying journey, and they help those with not wanting to get too involved with what happens along the way. Whereas on the other side, you've got multi-source attribution models. So these consider more variables and touch points along the consumer decision-making process, and they all play a part in deciding what contributes towards a conversion. So within these, you've got linear, time decay, position-based, and data-driven. So, how are people meant to understand all of these? And interestingly, in September last year, even Google, with Google Analytics 4, have chosen to drop all attribution models to only focus on data-driven and last click. Now, with there being 89% of users choosing GA4 as their analytics platform, we're confident about following their decision in being able to provide businesses with a clearer picture on what each marketing channel is contributing in relation to their goals. Now, we particularly want to focus on the data-driven model as it considers both converting and non-converting paths. So that can improve your understanding of each individual touch point. So it gives credit for conversions based on how people engage with your various ads and the different ways that they can decide to become your customers. And the great thing is, when it's set up properly, it can use your data to determine which keywords, ads, and campaigns have the greatest impact on your business goals. So in terms of all the attribution models out there, the data-driven one is certainly the model we would suggest to use for the automotive industry.
Yeah, good points there, Brad. And you said a lot, and you're right. We have come a long way since people probably would see the advertisement for the dealership in the newspaper and then just bring that clipping into the dealership in their hands, so you knew where they were coming from. And I know that with the onset of the internet, there's also become a whole lot of new ways, as you mentioned, to track and collect data. But yeah, to your point, Google has, in a sense, kind of helped simplify what marketing managers should be looking at, and just kind of focus on that data-driven type attribution model, as you mentioned. So thanks for the information there to give us a better perspective. Paul, I want to come to you now. You know, just like I just mentioned, the newspaper clipping deal, can you tell us a little bit more about maybe how this whole attribution piece has evolved, and, you know, over just the last few years, especially even with the pandemic, things have evolved?
Yeah, certainly, Brandon. I think, you know, from our point of view, look, you know, the adage during lockdown where businesses moved digitally forward 8 years, I truly believe that automotive was definitely one of those industries utilizing digital marketing. I mean, the evolution of attribution over the last few years has been staggering. It's not long ago that marketeers could walk into a meeting, present an impression share report, and pretty much drop the mic and walk out to a round of applause. Then this moved to, you know, to then clicks and then leads. And now, you know, we're in a world where clients want to know, you know, an in-market buyer has come through a Facebook campaign, gone all the way through the process, and in the end purchased a car. And for us, you know, as marketeers, the funnel is getting considerably longer, but also now resembling something more like a plate of spaghetti than a funnel, with more time taken on consideration, looking at multiple platforms again and again. And the automotive market online is expanding, so, you know, so there's more and more choice for consumers, especially now, you know, from the comfort of their own home. They're spending more time deciding on what model is right for them, also what the best offer, and as well as, you know, looking at reviews, unique selling points of the business that they're looking to buy from. And, you know, as we said, look, you know, in-market buyers could be looking at many different businesses along their journey. And, you know, one of the questions that we start to see in the marketing that we have is, look, you know, can I get a better spec for the same price elsewhere? Last year, of course, interest rates became really prominent in a lot of people's lives. So I think more people now are focused on what interest rates are compared to other places. And for us, you know, one of the areas that we've been focusing on with a lot of our clients is lead nurturing, and how this has now taken the place of almost the purchase part at the bottom of the funnel. So when I was at university, it was awareness, consideration, purchase. You know, we now think that lead nurturing is part of that. And all because people have given you their details in 2024 doesn't not automatically mean they're going to buy from you. And, you know, they're in they're in market to buy this second. You know, leads need to be nurtured and worked hard to make sure that you, throughout all of this journey, this plate of spaghetti, that you are top of mind. And it's shocking how many businesses ring or email once and then give up. And we keep saying to a lot of our clients, look, for every business that does this, there's another one calling, emailing, messaging, WhatsApping to make sure that they're stay on top of with that client. You know, attribution had forced, you know, a lot of the choices now that we have. You know, you've got YouTube, you've got Facebook, we've got stock platforms, we've got Google, and all the way through to dealer websites. There's a feast of websites and avenues in which the market can search for their next vehicle. And with this evolution in the marketplace, therefore, attribution, we're seeing it shift in how dealerships are really truly, you know, measuring success. Until recently, you know, we've been working with a lot of clients on cost per lead basis. And, you know, that metric was always considered a really decent gauge of marketing performance. But now we've evolved to measure, you know, the true measure of success is the cost per vehicle acquisition. What is the true return on ad spend? And Google revealed recently that 92% of all car buyers' journeys begin online. And as time goes on, as we're starting to see already, other steps in the process are happening online too. From inquiry submissions, we're now doing, you know, finance applications, and more of the car buying is becoming online. And motors websites today, you know, we struggle sometimes because they're becoming far more and more sophisticated. And some of them have even become entire pieces of technology themselves. But that's great, as it gives users opportunities to engage with the company through lots of various conversion points, and whether that be from form submissions, live chats, start a conversation through WhatsApp, soft finance checkers and calculators, but reserve a car online, buy a car online. And when you're considering the importance of the effectiveness of attribution, there's only there's two factors that we need to reflect on. And how important is it for your business to understand how each of those individual marketing channels are performing and what contribution they're making? And secondly, do you desire to understand how car buyers behave online, which in turn can help you certainly develop stronger and more coherent strategies in the future?
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. Makes a lot of sense and a lot there. And what you mentioned is really on point. I mean, especially coming out, post-pandemic. And I mean, that's still a major factor and topic to talk about as we're talking about consumer behavior, because it really shifted how users were coming into the market. People had a lot more time on their hands, and it really shifted how they were in the market. They did a lot more research, and they still continue to do a lot of research. And to your point, just because a consumer may give the dealership their name and their email address or their phone number, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to buy, or that they're going to buy from your particular dealership, as you mentioned. So yeah, there's a lot more that dealerships have to do now in order to really make sure that the customer, comes to their dealership to actually make that purchase. Whether they come to the actual physical location or not, because sometimes now we have the delivery option where your new car can come to your door, etc. So it's a good point there. And yeah, thanks for taking us through how that attribution piece has kind of evolved. Brad, so now if I can come back to you, now that we know, about attribution, and we especially have seen how it has evolved, it's still not an easy thing, definitely, for dealerships to just implement, right? So can you talk about some of the challenges that dealerships are seeing, or challenges that just exist in general when you're trying to implement marketing, but be very mindful of how you're attributing where leads and contacts are coming from?
Yeah, so I think, even with the latest technology and, within the last year, the benefits that we've seen with AI, that true attribution is still difficult to achieve. And I think, truthfully, unless you've only got one or two touch points, it can be very difficult with attribution to really achieve 100% capacity. The most substantial challenge we face is with GA4. And even though Universal Analytics was replaced by GA4 July last year, we still find some clients that we work with, even some in the AM100 list, either do not have conversion set up, or they don't actually have, they haven't made the switch to GA4 at all. So, some businesses too prefer not to provide agencies with analytics access. So I know for us, for example, that makes it a little bit harder for us to work with them to help set up conversions. So yeah, that's probably the fundamental thing. The world of data and tracking as well is also becoming more shotgun than sniper rifle. So consumers want a lot more control on the data that they share. So that makes it harder to show relevant ads to people and to track conversions. So with cookies, it's said that 60% of people click accept to all cookies. So within that 40%, we do see a significant data loss with those choosing to opt out. 3 years ago, also saw the introduction of Apple's app tracking transparency, meaning users can choose whether to opt in or out of iOS apps. So when that was first introduced, 85% of users opted out of it. Although that figure now is said to be about 60%, because users are starting to gain an understanding of the irrelevance of untargeted ads. So we do still see, we still lose data due to the uncertainty on privacy. But the good thing is you can still use your Facebook pixel or the GA4 code, for example, to help collect quality data. As Paul touched on, Some websites now are actually getting too busy for automotive, so the use of multiple conversion points can make users feel overwhelmed. But I think the most significant aspects are the use of iframes, plugins, portals, WhatsApps and live chats, all being difficult to track. And I know that's something that we often look to work towards with our clients. And that makes it harder to demonstrate ROAS and campaign success. And all of those touch points and the conversions must be able to pull into an analytics system, but fundamentally that needs to achieve the best results, it needs to be a dealership management system. And that's to ensure all conversions and relevant touch points are recorded in one place. Because it's important when someone buys a car that that you're able to work right back until that first touch point is made, because it not only helps with providing a more tailored experience for that customer, but the more visibility you have on your touch points, the more efficient your sales and marketing process can become. Another challenge that we face is when multiple platforms credit themselves for a particular conversion, and this happens because certain platforms use certain attribution models. So for example, Facebook, Facebook could say that you have driven 40 conversions, and Google might say that you've driven 30, but overall you don't get 70, because each platform has its own attribution model. So the easiest way to combat that is through using your own analytics. So for example, with GA4, you can set that up to measure conversions and assign all attribution, all channels to that one attribution model. And data driven, as we've discussed, is in this instance would help you with correctly crediting the source. It's also easy to assume that each channel in the buying journey has the same purpose. So you might have a particular channel that's brilliant at raising awareness and putting you in front of your intended audience, that are right at the beginning of their journey. So display ads are a great example of that. But a few weeks later, that customer might convert via another channel, but without that initial touch point being recorded, or even occurring at all, it wouldn't have been made possible. So that's why understanding which role each marketing channel plays and that not every channel converts is actually critical to supporting your marketing efforts.
Thanks for that, Brad. Yeah, you're right. And what you mentioned, users are becoming savvier. And not only users are becoming savvier, but the platforms are becoming savvier and even more challenging as well, restricting tracking to some extent. And then sometimes users just in general don't want to be tracked, and some businesses, as you mentioned at the top of what you were saying, still need to install Google Analytics 4, GA4, and make sure that their tracking bits are all set up properly. I know that Google Analytics kind of pushed everyone to make the shift and change, but what we found is not all businesses have completed the setup, which means making sure that the conversions that GA4 is tracking are very specific and unique to the ones that make sense and mean the most and give the most value to your business. And yet we're seeing a lot of dealerships and businesses in general across industries haven't yet fully completed that installation process. And then you also mentioned it's really important too that dealers don't just rely on the conversion metrics as told by the platform, as told by Facebook, as told by whatever the source is, and make sure that you define for yourself within your own platforms what the conversion is, so that way it can make sense and be truer to value or what's valuable for your specific business. And before I'm going to switch back to you, Paul, but I just want to do a housekeeping thing for our webinar attendees. Just a reminder, we've got the Q&A section coming up towards the end of our webinar, but you don't have to wait until then. So if you've got questions, feel free to type them in the questions and chat area of our webinar, and then we'll keep an eye on those and integrate your questions at the end. But Paul, as we kind of move on to the next bit, can you share with us how dealerships can still find success even in the midst of all of those challenges that Brad just talked about? I mean, success is still possible, yeah?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, as Brad said at the beginning of the webinar, we deal with clients of all shapes and sizes. So, we know that one size doesn't really fit all. Here at LOCALiQ Motors, we're utilizing AI, optimized marketing campaigns. And among many of the benefits, one standout with utilizing AI is its own ability to target users. So, without the reliance really on, third-party cookie data. And that smart AI optimization is what we specialize in here at LOCALiQ Motors. And what we'll do is we'll put a link to the other webinar on the benefits of AI in automotive at the end of today. But as we've just said, look, the path to purchase is more complex than ever, with plenty of distractions along the way. And look, we know now it's rare to see a consumer, click on ad, go through and purchase straight away. That's why we sort of focus on integrating conversions using, our award-winning client center platform to try and simplify attribution. As we said, we have clients of all shapes and sizes, and it doesn't matter really where we're coming onto the attribution journey. Hopefully we'll be able to support and assist. So, our client center, enables us to effectively pull in data from Google, from Microsoft, from Facebook, from Instagram, all into one, user-friendly space. And then from that, you can then start to look at, from social media to phone calls. We've even put tracking in there, for things like printed materials. We know that a lot of our clients will still do newspapers, will still utilize things like, for example, leaflets. And, we can start to use tracking numbers, or even now, the sort of resurgence in QR codes, to understand when pinpointing the exact origin as leads, coming in. And we know that that's as important as ever. And as the world of data and tracking is becoming more broader than in previous years, then we know that, a lot of the clients that we work with are almost having to raise their digital marketing game in order to meet this challenge. And that's why we sort of recommend, we've been working with AI, and as Brad said, looking at integrations into management systems such as DealerWeb. So having that true picture, it's almost linking jigsaw pieces together. So, we've run, lead ads campaign where we've linked those straight into a management system such as DealerWeb. So ensuring, that leads are, dealt with, actually properly through the right process within the business. Because otherwise, we've had lead ads before that have ended up in somebody's email inbox or even in the bin before. So we can help, dealerships get on the road, if you pardon the pun, to a sort of seamless customer journey by utilizing all of these different tracking technologies and sort of the omni-channel approach that we talk around now in automotive. So tracking what is happening on, offline, to show where the leads are actually coming from in the first place. Look, for our more attribution savvy clients, as Brad said, we've been utilizing GA4. And from a GA4 point of view, it's looking at things like, for example, like we were talking around with web chats. So suddenly now, most of the majority of the sort of larger clients that we have a visitor chat online, even now links to things like WhatsApp. But, those visitor chats may automatically pop up. So, straight away, it will record that a visitor chat has been actioned, where actually what we're working with some of our clients and the actual visitor chat software on is, that a client's data has been added into the chat. So that becomes then, more of a good quality lead, let's say. And, all of this can be tracked to prove that marketing is leading to all of these touch points. And as Brad says, no matter what the platform. So, our data driven, as we talked about, attribution reporting, what will not only tell you about that sort of first click, last click, but each click along the way to a conversion. And this provides dealerships with a window into their customers' behavior, with what is working and what channels could actually be draining budget. And, we know nowadays, the whole thing is, you may want to turn off a tap that isn't performing, but even now, a lot of our clients still don't know which tap that is. And, for us, if you can't be everywhere in 2024, then be in the right places. You know, as we see it now with more and more of the buyer journey moving online, then from our dealership's point of view, then the visits, you know, should be an enjoyable experience now. You know, from a point of view that you go and book a test drive, you go into the dealership, have a test drive, really great experience, all the way through to picking up the car. And I know some of our clients now are trying to make that a true experience. So really, it's the bit in between the research, the finance, that we need to understand what's happening moving forward.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. And you mentioned if you can't be everywhere in 2024, then to be in the right places. But in order for for businesses to know what those right places are, and that's what we're talking about. This whole thing of attribution, and you even mentioned additional platforms that are coming onto the scene. And there are so many different platforms and so many different ways to interact with prospects these days. I think trying to keep things simplified wherever possible is like a big win, especially for marketing managers at these dealerships. And the idea, the concept of bringing all the data from all those different platforms that you might be engaging with customers on into one system, that's a really big win. And I could see how it can be really helpful, especially when that system integrates in the CRM tools that already exist at the dealership, because nobody wants to expand that tech stack to the point where it's so massive and so convoluted that it's really hard to figure out what integrates with what system, and you have to bring in the whole IT team to try to make things work. So it's good to know that things can be aligned with the systems that dealerships are already using, and that their internal teams can just tap in and it can integrate into their workflows already. And it sounds like the system that we use here at LOCALiQ does that. So it's really nice to hear that that can be streamlined as well as simplified. So now that we understand that, gentlemen, just thinking forward, how can we try to be a little bit more prepared, so we can be more proactive instead of reactive? Brad, maybe can you share with us like what the future of attribution might look like?
Sure. Yeah. So I think in 2024 and beyond, we know the world of automotive attribution will continue to evolve, and there are ever-changing developments. Even within the last week, Google have announced a new platform in a system called Meridian to support with measurement challenges. But there are also the changes with the cookieless world, and third-party cookies are dying. So those third-party cookies are the ones that are generated and placed on a user's device by a different website than the one the user was visiting, so where you get ads from other sites. But thankfully, major advertising platforms like Facebook and Google, they use first-party cookies, so you can still benefit from that and retarget those that visit your website directly. So in terms of next steps, I think if you're brand new to the world of attribution, what we'd recommend you do is to get GA4 set up. Certainly contact us if you like as well, but certainly to look at accessing tutorials on YouTube to help understand how to measure website acquisition, as well as setting up conversions where possible. You also need to consider how you can look to integrate your offline and online conversions as well to get a better understanding of the buying journey. So, for example, if someone goes in to visit the dealership, making sure you get those details and logging them in the dealer management system. If you're in a position where you're a little bit more familiar with the world of attribution, as we've said, utilizing a data-driven model is going to ensure that your dealership's future conversions are fairly measured, easily tracked, and full of information that you can use to support your campaigns and get the best results. And we know within the car market in 2024 that the consumer has the power. As Paul's covered, it's not just phone calls and forms anymore. We believe dealership groups will prioritize an omni-channel attribution in 2024. So leveraging a reliable online journey so that customers have access 24/7, because it will then give the freedom to the customer and freedom of understanding which channel for you as well is driving the awareness, as well as assessing which channels consumers are interacting with along that way. So you do need to, where possible, cater to people's needs. So being always available and providing convenience for them. An easy example of that is that there are a lot of people out there who prefer not to speak to someone on the phone. So what apps and what options do you have available? Do you have live chat, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, inquiry forms, finance calculators, anything that they can maybe do online? And we've noticed that there are some dealers that aren't perhaps prepared to make that step yet. I know we spoke to a client recently where we'd suggested implementing WhatsApp for Business to provide people with the option for when they want to message and maybe not feel hassled with phone calls. But that particular dealership let us know they were too busy to implement it. So, in essence, they're not quite ready to cater to people's needs, but it just shows you the importance of working smarter and tailoring to the customer, because as we've discussed, the world has changed and the sales funnel needs to also adapt to assist you with attribution. There are also great tools out there such as Hotjar and Microsoft Clarity. So for example, you can use those to look at heat maps and recordings of how people are using the website. So what you can do with that is you can use that information to make smarter decisions on how to improve your user experience on the website, and that can help you then to think about how to generate more online conversions and really streamlining that process. We do also recommend as well that as a takeaway for today, that you look into the regulation changes that have either happened already and that are going to be happening later this year. So one of them I wanted to cover now was about Google Consent Mode version 2, which was implemented on the 1st of March this year. So all that means is that moving forwards, your cookies banner needs to have a toggle to provide consent for analytics and marketing data. So whilst maybe some of you already that have this applied to your banner, what you need to also do now to comply with the regulation is you need to ensure that this is set up so that users have provided consent first before GA4 and these types of analytics platforms start running in the background. So to make it easier for you, Google recommends that you use one of their consent management platforms. So I know there's CookieBot and there's a lot out there. We'll put a link at the end of the webinar slides here that you can look into a little bit more information on that. So really with your banner, if you know that you can easily operate your website without needing to click on the cookies banner, you may want to adapt it so that you can prevent a loss of data and avoid that. So I think really, if there's one thing we can be sure of, automotive marketing and attribution will continue to evolve, and I think now it's imperative that you're not left behind.
Yeah, Brad, and that's why I'm excited today that like everyone is on our webinar and we're talking about this topic because, like you just mentioned, Google just announced some things this week, and just it's so much that is happening. It can be hard to keep up, but I love having discussions like this and sessions with you all so that we can make sure that dealers are staying informed. We covered a lot today, and we're just about at time. And some questions have come through, I believe. If you still want to submit some questions, you can do that. Hopefully we can answer at least one or two before we close out. But I do want to talk about next steps, because we like to try to make sure our webinars are very action oriented. So I want to make sure you have some immediate action items that you and your dealership can walk away with from this webinar. And so, if what we're talking about still seems like a far off idea, don't worry, because we've got some additional resources that are here on the screen. You'll be able to click through it once you get the slides, this white paper, as well as this webinar you can watch at your leisure. It'll give you a little bit more background about some of the things that we're talking about in terms of the future of automotive marketing. But if anything like really speaks to where you and your dealership are, I really want to encourage you to connect with the experts that we have on the motors division and talk to them about your specific dealership. Like, what strategies have worked so far for you all, and what hasn't worked for you. And then our experts will also be able to share with you what we've seen within the market and share some other further actionable plans. Paul, can you just jump in for a second and talk about quickly what a dealership would expect when they reach out, and maybe like why they should?
Yes, certainly, Brandon. I think like we've been through today, you know, for us, we've been through this with different size dealerships, from, you know, a one bay service center to a porter cabin with 30 cars, all the way up to AM 100 clients. So we live and breathe automotive every day. And I think, you know, we've got a dedicated automotive service team that live and breathe automotive. We have BDMs who will go and see our clients and almost understand how the business is performing. So, you know, look at, you know, what is the strategy for the rest of 2024? Are there any pain points? As Brad alluded to, are there any, you know, real struggles in regards to attribution currently? Is GA4 a problem? You know, for us, and we'll sit down and we'll try and work out how we can assist. And I think, you know, that's, for me, one of the great things about working with automotive. It's one of those industries, as we've just discussed, is changing every single day. And that's what keeps it exciting. But, you know, as a business owner, to stay on top of all of this day in, day out, as well as trying to run a business, we know that is becoming more and more difficult. That's why, you know, they need experts like us to come in and at least try and, you know, become part of their marketing team.
Cool. Thanks for elaborating on that, Paul. We just shared in the chat the motor specific page on our website that everyone on the webinar can go to and scroll down to talk to an expert. One question that came through that I think we've got time for, this is a good one. So if I reach out, how soon can they get a campaign started? You know, the auto industry is really fast paced and dynamic. So how soon can they get a campaign started?
Yeah, as we said before, look, you know, that's a great question, and we work closely with the team. You know, it's a partnership, and we make sure that everything is signed off properly. But meaning the fact that we can have campaigns set up as little as, you know, 10 days to 3 weeks, depending on how big the campaign is. But this can be, you know, once we're experienced with the brand and familiar with the goals, this can get quicker.
Yeah, and I think one added benefit of working with LOCALiQ Motors is that because we work with so many different dealerships across the country, we do have a sense of familiarity with the industry, and so the time to start up a particular campaign is considerably less than it might be with others. Well, hey, Brad, Paul, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to take us through and sharing your insights. But thank you especially to all of our attendees who joined our call today. Remember, within a day or so, you'll get today's webinar recording as well as the slides that we've shared, so that way you can click through and go back and rewatch at your leisure. And yeah, we do look forward to continue to working with everyone on our call and supporting your dealership's digital marketing strategy. So until our next webinar, we hope to see you all soon.